What exactly happens when a locomotive reaches the end of its lifespan? Best case scenario, it gets donated to a railway museum for static display or use on tourist trains, and worst case, it just gets cut up for scrap. Or sold to Mr. Beast to be wrecked in a YouTube video. However, rebuilding, or better yet recycling, is another good option. In this episode of Rebuild Retrospective, we'll be taking a look back at EMD's 710 ECO rebuild program, and more specifically a pretty unique rebuilt locomotive, one that I used to have some pretty strong feelings towards back in the day, the Canadian Pacific EMD GP20c-ECO. Now, the 2000s was a really innovative period for locomotive builders. With more strict EPA emission standards rolling in, locomotive designs, more specifically in terms of their prime movers, had to adapt to be a little more environmentally friendly. A little. In 2007, EMD launched the 710 Repower package that was not only meant to help railroads meet EPA standards and save on fuel, but to compete with other newfangled genset locomotives. Compared to the gensets, their offering was cheaper, easier, and more cost-effective to set up than a genset rebuild or repower. The kits came with the 710 motor in either V8 or V12 flavors, an EM2000 microprocessor control system, AR10 alternator, cooling fans in some cases, and new engine auto start-stop systems. By 2008, two demonstrators were rebuilt, one from a Kansas City Southern GP40 and the other from a CP Rail GP9. Wow, foreshadowing much? Anyways, these units, despite not really looking anything alike, were both classed as GP22 Ecos. They were equipped with the 710 G3A T2 motors, making around 2100 horsepower. EMDX 7101 used to be KCS GP40-3 2836, built for Penn Central back in 1968. The second one was a little more experimental, being rebuilt from a 1955 GMD GP9, former Canadian Pacific 8511, one of the few of their early GP9 orders to be geared for 89-mile-an-hour passenger service. It was rebuilt to GP9U 1637 in the 80s and served for around 20 years before being retired around 2007 and sold to EMD as the core for the other Eco repower. It kept most of its original GP9U design, aside from the raised long hood to accommodate the new motor and cooling mechanics. They were tested all across the continent, with 7102 interestingly going coast to coast on the CPR network from Montreal to Vancouver, as far south as Atlanta, Georgia on Norfolk Southern, and as far north as Anchorage, Alaska. Both are still around today. 7101 was last seen in Patterson, Georgia as of 2025, while 7102 was actually sold to Ferromex around 2011. I gotta admit, this old Canadian workhorse looks pretty good in Ferromex paint. Now let's blast through the 710 rebuild models and their owners. Starting off with the 4-axle units, we got the GP22 Eco, GP23 Eco, GP31 Eco, GP33 Eco, GP34 Eco, GP59 Eco, and interestingly, the F59PHI Eco. A majority of Norfolk Southern's Ecos were rebuilt from old GP50s, aside from a handful of exceptions, while most others are from old GP40s. Like the EMD demo unit, and the ones owned by the Belt Railway of Chicago, BNSF, Metra, and the Southern Peru Copper Company. A lot of the Ecos on, say, Norfolk Southern and the New Brunswick Southern family of railways are mother units to similar looking slugs. Most of Norfolk Southern's are equipped with their signature Admiral cab, while most other Ecos have a newer cab design that we'll get to later. The rest have their original EMD cab still intact. Amtrak California, or CDTX, is the only one to roster the F59PHI Eco. A lot of other F59PH and PHI units have had overhauls in the past few years, but I don't think they're classified as F59PH Eco units. I'm gonna be so honest, they're not really as interesting as the freight Ecos. They're literally just F59 PHIs with their original EMD 710 motors swapped out for newer ones that meet the EPA's Tier 2 emission standards. I'm not even sure how often they're used nowadays, with Siemens Charger-type units dominating the Southwest commuter rail network nowadays. Little fun fact here, but NS GP59 6663 was rebuilt from NS 4610, an obscure Southern Railway heritage unit from back in the 90s and early 2000s. As for the 6 axles, we got the SD22-ECO, SD30c-ECO, SD32-ECO, and finally the SD33-ECO. A lot of the 6-axle Ecos seem to retain a majority or all of their original features, like BNSF's SD32s rebuilt from old Santa Fe SD45-2s, KC Southern's 2 SD22s rebuilt from old NDM SDP40s, and the Susquehanna's SD33s that retain the old cabs with Southern Pacific's iconic horizontal nose headlight. The SD33-ECO model is sort of an anomaly, as CSX, NYSW, and Union Pacific roster them, but CSXs, looking pretty similar to the CP SD30Cs, are classed as SD40E3s. NYSWs are just SD33s, but Union Pacific, nah, they had to be different. Despite being officially cataloged by EMD as the SD33-ECO, crews and rail fans alike know them as the SD59MX. They're without a doubt the most visually different 6-axle Eco, retaining most of their original wide-cab SD60M designs, aside from the flared radiators and whatever the hell's going on here. A few notes with these units: the naming is a little confusing with them. Let's break down a traditional EMD locomotive model, like, say, the GP40. It's a general-purpose Model 40 series locomotive. However, the Eco units, like, say, a GP34-ECO for example, actually have 2 meanings. The first number is for the horsepower, being 3000, and the second is for the EPA emissions tier listing, this one being Tier 4 compliant. So something like an SD32-ECO is a special duty 3000 horsepower Tier 2 compliant Eco repowered locomotive. Pretty simple, right? Yeah, not really. And finally, while these are advertised by EMD as part of the Repower program and share somewhat similar designs, the GP24B on the New York Atlantic, for example, actually have completely different power plants. These ones are powered by Caterpillar 3512C motors, among a few different parts like alternators. How reliable they are is up for debate. I've heard Cat-powered locomotives have had pretty mixed results. Alright, with that out of the way, it's time to talk about the Canadian Pacific's Eco locomotives. Right off the bat, I'm kinda skirting around the SD30c-ECOs just because I never really grew up with them. Don't get me wrong, they do work here, they have worked here, I've seen some over the years, but they were mostly working out of places in BC, Minnesota, Illinois, not really Winnipeg. As neat as they are, there's not really much to them. They're just rebuilt SD40s, same frame, same axles, just a new hood and cab. The only real interesting aspect to them is the history behind a couple of the units. CP5019 was built as Sioux Line 6606, and 5018 was originally Kansas City Southern 670. Wow, this stupid merger was written in the stars, wasn't it? Also, as a little side note, rumors went around back in the day that units from the Dakota, Minnesota and Eastern, Iowa, Chicago and Eastern, as well as the SD40-2F Red Barns were slated to be rebuilt into SD30Cs. But that never happened. I think mostly because the CP CEO at the time, Hunter Harrison, must have cancelled the program to cut costs in the name of PSR. Also, I'm sure the cowl body 40s would have been a bit more costly and time-consuming to tear down and rebuild. The GP20c-ECOs, on the other hand, have a more interesting story. They are rebuilt, absolutely, but in reality, a better description would be recycled units. Starting in 2012, around 100 GP7 GP9Us were retired and parted out at places across North America, like the Southern Railway of BC's new Westminster shops and Progress Rail's Mayfield, Kentucky plant, to be rebuilt to help Canadian Pacific meet newer Transport Canada and US EPA emissions and safety regulations. To cut some costs, CP requested the units should meet at the very least Tier 0 plus emission standards. Now usually a rebuild would utilize a good chunk of the old parts. putting new electronics, cabs, and whatnot on top of the old frame. But with these units, they have pretty much nothing from the original old Jeeps. They've got the truck frame, some alternators, and that's pretty much it. In fact, some Ecos allegedly have parts with serial numbers that trace back to completely random units. Like, one of them has a part from an old Great Northern GP9, for example. Anyways, the C in the name actually stands for crashworthy, denoting the new cab design that, without a shadow of a doubt, is 10 times more safe for the crews than old GP9U cabs. The design can also be seen on the SD30C-ECO, the CSX SD40E3, the New Brunswick Southern GP31-ECOs, and the New York Atlantic GP24Bs. According to crews, they've said some cab heaters have broken in the past, there's some software glitches on rare occasions, but otherwise, the Ecos pull great and have pretty spacious cabs. I don't think the cab is isolated though. Crews have said they are quieter than other switchers, but they're still pretty loud. Another thing I learned is that they don't have dynamic brakes, which is why a lot of the time something with dynamics will assist the holiday train in the mountains on the west coast. The Ecos are numbered 2200 to 2299 and 2300 to 2329 on the roster and classed as DRF-20s. I made a video years ago on Canadian Railway's weird diesel classifications, but to sum it up real quick, the DRF-20 stands for Diesel Road Freight Unit with 2000 horsepower. And to break down the model name real quick, the GP stands for General Purpose, 20 means both 2000 horsepower and Tier 0 plus emissions, the C is for the new cab design that meets new crashworthy standards, and the ECO stands for the new 710 ECO motor powering the units, specifically the turbocharged 8-cylinder 710 G3A. Finally, I have to talk about my personal history with these units. I've liked trains since I was really little. Of course, watching shows like Thomas the Tank Engine, Chuggington, and Dinosaur Train if anyone remembers that one. Now, I grew up with the GP9s on Canadian Pacific. I thought these units, like the GP9RMs on CN, would be around for years to come. But all of a sudden, in late 2014, I start seeing these weird new locomotives on the usual Jeep 9-powered local trains. They were shiny, had sharp angles, the new Canadian Pacific livery, and pretty unpleasant horns if I'm being honest. I started to see them more and the GP9s less. Every local train I missed powered by a GP9, I just shrugged off at the time and said, oh well, I'll see one eventually. But in late April, 11 years ago already, Canadian Pacific announced that all remaining GP7 and GP9s were being taken off the active roster. Just like that, my opportunities to get slightly better shots of units I grew up seeing pass at recess in school, like CP1622 or 8248 for example, gone. I and the other few foamers in Winnipeg back in the day hated these units with a burning passion. We hated the way that they walk, hate the way that they talk, hate the way that they dress. We thought, how could these ugly red square turds take away our old ratty multi-mark workhorses? I think this meme here, or really any other ragebait meme, works best in this scenario. While the preteen teenage foamers were seething trackside about the loss of the mighty GP9Us, the crews were just riding comfortably in their new Eco cabs. The Eco hate from us died down throughout the late 2010s. We still didn't care for them, still didn't go out of our way to see them, and obviously much preferred when industrial switching jobs or locals had GP38s on them. The Ecos had sort of just become a normal sight around the city, and had become the mainstay on the annual holiday train post-2014. They're still on the train to this day, which is kinda strange. You'd think CPKC would decorate one of their brand spanking new Gevos or recent corporate merger repaints with festive lights, and run that on the train, but nope. 2246 and 2249 are still kicking around as the power for the most wonderful train of the year. So, to sum it up, I think the Ecos, on a personal level, solidified the fact that people in general, not just people in communities like the train fandom, can be really slow to accept change. Looking back, it took me a few years to come to terms with the fact that the cool GP9s are out and the efficient, more environmentally friendly GP20s were in. But in reality, while they were a shock in my formative years of being a stupid foamer, they were there throughout some of the best years of my time in the hobby so far, like throughout 2018 for example. And in the past year, I've really warmed up to the little guys. I honestly don't mind seeing eco-powered freight trains. I think going forward, these engines could be one of the shining examples of why 4-axle locomotives are still needed, even in this era of railroading where cost-cutting by any means necessary is king. They're small, decently powerful, more efficient, and good for older industrial spurs with tighter curves. Way better than using 6-axle units to switch industries. Hopefully, with nobody really making new 4-axle road switcher locomotives these days, costs rising for new locomotives, especially right now, railways will reconsider the 710 ECO Repower program. It's a cost-effective way to improve crew safety with new cabs like the C cab or the NS Admiral cab, and to get more use out of old reliable locomotives while alternate fuel sources like natural gas, hydrogen, and battery electric power are being further developed. Who knows what's in store for locomotives like the GP20Cs? But for now, the units continue to make a mark on the history book of the Canadian Pacific Railway. And you know what? They've earned a few nostalgia points in my book. Until one gets painted into the CPKC livery, then that's it. The love is straight in the dumpster. Alright everyone, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed, even in the slightest. A huge shout out to the people that sent in photos and videos of ecos across North America, and of course a shout out to the channel members listed right here for the extra support. It means a lot to me and my dog. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more mediocre train content coming soon. I really enjoyed making this video, as well as the old Santa Fe CF7 video, so definitely let me know in the comments if there's any other rebuilt locomotives you'd want me to talk about in future episodes. For now, this is the Winnipeg Railfan saying, be nice in the comments, don't diddle kids, don't derail trains for clout. See you next Tuesday.
Thank you.